Hi everyone, my name is Mananki.
And I'm Karan, and we are the co-founders of Claravest.
Claravest is a fractional real estate ownership platform that allows people to invest in residential real estate with a very small amount.
Dr. Niranjan Hiranandani's name has been synonymous with excellence, integrity, and innovation in the real estate space. And today, we are absolutely thrilled to have him here. Thank you, sir, for giving us the opportunity and the time.
We still remember the date was Jan 4th, 2024. That's when we came to your Powai office and first time spoke to you about Claravest and about our vision of fractional real estate ownership in residential real estate. That day had a great kind of embarking on our mind is because the kind of feedback that you gave us, the kind of comments you had actually was like made us very confident and pushed us in keep doing what we had envisioned for Claravest. So thank you so much. We are here to learn from you about the ever-changing landscape of residential real estate and fractional real estate ownership in this space. So I would like to start with asking you, sir, that your work is not just known for constructing homes. Your work is basically known to create township and generally create an ecosystem. And that too, they are generally in like these very offbeat locations when you are starting. Want to understand when you just go about selecting these location, when you even first think about, oh, I want to create development in this particular area. What are some of the key factors you go through when you are starting a project?
First of all, congratulations on the start of Claravest in a
Thank
very
you.
successful way. So just like the innovation idea that you picked up in terms of Claravest, in terms of fractional ownership of residential housing, that's a concept which had two concepts. One, that homes are normally sold, but then you can actually invest it into parts and then get an income out of it. Similarly, when we do townships, we come up with a concept. We believe that a home should be complete in the sense that we shouldn't have just homes for the sake of a concrete building, and that's the end of the whole story. But we do believe that a home should have a holistic approach where you have everything that you can possibly do in the neighborhood. So you have a good quality home, of course, and then you have everything else, which is like a school, a hospital, entertainment, games, a temple. Oregon, we also have the Kalyan Mandapam and lots of sport activities and a beautiful clubhouse and a golf course. So what happens is you have a holistic type of lifestyle which actually caters to every aspect of living happily, comfortable, enjoying leisurely. And of course, you have places of work also. So you create commercial spaces also, which are actually very important to do it so that you can even walk to work at times when you want to. So all that is the concepts that we try to create in our townships that we build. And just like you have the innovation of Claravest, we think of this as an innovation in our own way. And we've done it multiple times.
That's very insightful, right? I wanted to also understand, so how do you go about probably maybe picking these locations? If you could speak a little bit, because when you enter, there are places that probably people have not heard of, and today they have become landmarks. So how do you go about identifying those locations?
Well, we do a lot of study. We try to understand where the potential is, where the lands are not really the targeted of other developers in the earlier stages. But we identify these locations knowing that when the cities grow or the development takes place, these will be the centers of gravity. But in every place that we went or we have gone, we made it a destination. So even though it was a big raw material, some places quarry land, some places a denuded school, some places faraway lands. But we all identified that one day this will also be an important destination. And that's how we targeted it. And we created all aspects of life which would come to the destination. Some became successful early, some took longer time, but they all have become successful, fortunately. And different people like different aspects of our project. So if somebody will come to Oregon, he'll only talk about the golf course. Somebody who has kids is talk about the school. Somebody is unwell is going to talk about the hospital. They have younger boys and girls who are doing it. They want to talk about sports activity in the neighborhood and the gardens that are there. So I think what really happens is different people look at your project differently. And that's the best part of it.
I recently heard of an interview of you where you were speaking about how people do more due diligence when they're buying shoes than they're buying homes. I am a sneaker fan, so I understand that aspect of it. But I do understand the importance of due diligence. So if you could probably shed some light on what are the type of due diligence one must
So
do.
good you talk about sneakers. And, the point is very simple. You'd first go for a good brand. You'd like to understand which brands really work for you, which work for the country, which work and which have a good name and who have been consistently on the top of the brand. Same in real estate. You look at a brand and see who's been the successful brand and those who have delivered quality products over a period of years. Number two, what is the commitment they have to the brand? Because many people may be having a brand, but not really committed to the brand. And that makes a world of a difference. So when you know about certain companies, they want to adhere to their commitments which they have made to you. So I think that's the second important thing, track record. The third important thing is to do your own diligence and find out what is there in the property. Fortunately for you now, as a customer, RERA does most of the work for you. So all you got to do is to go to the RERA websites, study the proposal that is there, and be able to get all the details which are available relating to the project. The title to the project, the approvals to the project, the time in which it will be completed, what are the amenities that the developer is going to give. All that is now well documented. So reasonable due diligence by each person should be done in terms. And the last, of course, the stage of the project. If it's still in the beginning stages, then there is some margin of time from the time it will get complete. But today, if you are following a good brand, you have more chances to be right than wrong. And it becomes easy. And that is why today we find even in the real estate market, there's so much consolidation taking place. Before COVID, it wasn't so. But now people are brand conscious when you are purchasing an apartment.
Wow. I'm sure all the sneaker fans will get this right. Just continuing on that investment topic, we've been hearing a lot about tier 2 cities and satellite cities. What is the growth potential that you see in these cities? Because often we've only been thinking about tier 1 cities. So if you could, talk a little bit about what you see in tier 2 cities and the potential that they have.
So whether it's tier 1, tier 2 or tier 3, one thing is common. The opportunities in each may be humongous. Let's look at Bangalore, for instance. Everybody didn't have much to do. The weather was very good. But over a period of time, they were able to focus on the IT. As the same thing happened to Hyderabad, the focus on USP is much more important. Surat, you have diamond processing and jewelry business that is there. You can see it in UP. What's happened as far as the Kumbh Mela is there, and of course the Ram's Pratishthan, which I went to. And all that is going to make a world of a difference. So Kashmir tourism, Goa tourism, places of worship tourism, these are the different types of destination. Or of course you have Taj Mahal. So the creation of a USP in a particular area is very important. I think the growth of the city is faster. The other aspect of it is towns which are on the periphery of metropolitan areas. So if you have Delhi, then you have Gurgaon, you have Noida, Greater Noida and these areas. If you have Mumbai, you have Thane, you have Navi Mumbai, you have Panvel, Alibag now. So all these are peripheral of Mumbai region. Similarly, all cities in India, as the growth pattern takes place, they get smaller peripheral towns just outside or nearby the main city. And that makes a world of a difference. So those are also growing. So tier 2 is growing if they have certain destination concepts, peripheral of metropolitan, because they are cost effective in terms of doing, and people can travel up and down to the cities. I think that makes a difference.
Even we at Claravest, we always like tell people that, focus on the location where you want to invest. As you correctly use the word USP, what is the USP of that location? Is there like more infrastructure coming in? Is there job creation happening? And we do tell the investors that try and do your own due diligence in understanding what is like the future prospect of that location. Now that we have spoken about tier 2 cities and the location, we want to talk a little bit about what is new happening in residential real estate. We are seeing that there are a lot of trending categories now coming in residential real estate, which were actually not probably so well known from past like 7 or 10 years ago. Categories like co-living, categories like short-term rentals, service apartments, vacation homes, assisted living is coming like a big boom in India that's happening right now. How do you think these subcategories are now going to evolve in the residential sector?
As markets become more and more mature, different people come in with investing ideas. Once you come up with the investor model, where the rental model takes place, and letting becomes a issue. Now, whether the letting is in form of commercial spaces, large and small, whether it is residential, fractional ownership, rental housing, co-living spaces, students' accommodation, and hostels which are taking place. At the same time, in the commercial, you have small commercial, retail, hotels, and IT, and all the other things put together. So, in the residential space, the new models are coming in, and the investor is looking at a return. At the same time, the market is looking for better quality homes which are maintained. So I think it's a mix of these two things. One from an investor perspective, one from a person who wants to use it, young and old. So all this is creating new and very interesting markets. I mean, experiment with new models and see which ones actually are doing extremely well. I know somebody was talking about student housing. All over the country. It's sticky business, and once a student gets in, 95% of the time they will be there through the year. They're not going to go away. And already the booking is done for the next people to come into the apartment. So, we are quite full in terms of the spaces. And I thought it was quite interesting to understand and how they think about it and work on it. All these different models do work, and more so because people are willing to invest into the models. See, earlier what happened is everybody would have to raise money for that. Today, there are a lot of investors who co-invest with you to make these models operational.
And I think, like as sir you rightly said, obviously there is a market. Gen Z these days is kind of wanting a kind of community living. They are okay co-living with other people, and the yields aspect for these properties and these subcategories is also great. The yields of these co-living could anywhere be ranging from probably like 5 to 6%. And obviously then at the underlying asset is a residential asset, it also becomes really good with respect to property appreciation.
Absolutely. See, earlier residential would give you 2 to 3%. Now we structure it in such a way that the sizes of apartments, the multiple use of rooms, availability of services modules which create a little pep up of the price that you can do. So you get your ROI which works for the marketplace. And that is what is increasingly happening. And it's positive.
So now coming to a topic that is very close to us, which is fractional ownership. Earlier, real estate investments were only accessible for UHNIs and HNIs. Today, this concept makes it more accessible for retail investors. So what are your personal views on it, and what excites you in this space?
It excites me because it creates a new opportunity. And I do believe that you need many such opportunities in the country to make the country into an area where investments come into various forms into the real estate business. It also gives the flexibility which is available in the marketplace for smaller investors to come into the marketplace. Either they go for an IPO, a REIT, or fractional ownership. Over a period of time, this fractional ownership category will also require to be structured so that it can be listed, it can be sold easily. Today, there is no process under which you can absolutely sell it off easily. So, we need to educate people, show them how the methodology is there, bring them up to speed, but you also have to create a marketplace. So, for instance, if I have purchased something and then I want to sell it, there has to be a market which makes it possible for me to sell it at a price maybe 5%, 10% less or 10% above the market. But if I need the liquidity, I should be able to do it. And I think that will be the best way to make this immensely successful.
On a global level, when we talk about fractional ownership, it's always associated with residential and commercial. However, in India, they always think about commercial. So, question one is, why do you think that is the case?
Yeah, because in India, you can't think of a home being fractionally owned by somebody. It's mentally a little difficult model. But once the idea percolates and you make it work, you have to be a market maker also.
I think that because commercial fractional ownership has been done also now quite a bit in our country, people are more aware about it. I think the residential fractional ownership is still not like done and dusted kind of a thing that people have seen that it works. I again want to thank you, sir, for allowing us to onboard a couple of your properties on Claravest so people can invest fractionally, especially your Hiranandani Oragadam Parks, which is Chennai. Honestly, before onboarding, we visited Oragadam and we were quite blown away by that beautiful township that you have. Obviously, the golf course was very, very exciting. Schools, water harvest treatment plan, like everything was just, we honestly felt that we were in a completely different city. Want to just understand, like, what was your vision behind developing such a beautiful township? Did you actually forecast that people might want over here a township kind of a living, or might have that walk to work kind of concept over there in the next few years?
Of course, we have to dream it first. We have to vision it second. We have to draw it third. We have to market it next. And then we've got to do the construction. Then we have to sell it. Then we have to raise the money to build it. And then we have to deliver it. Yes, you have to dream it. Since there are not many precedents to what we have done, it's very difficult to convince many people, including family members. Including the designers, including people who have master planned other cities. They don't think it's efficient, they think it's too out of the world, something which we would not do, doesn't sound pragmatic. And sometimes it's not pragmatic also. There are difficulties we have encountered over a period of years because we've just stepped out of the box to do something fantastic. But at the end of the day, we win. And that's most important, that it happens and it works. Also, the ideas that you have brought about of fractional ownership. It may not be very popular today, it may not be famous, but we have to make it work. Many times we talk about how do you make it work? By being successful, by visioning it correct, by being fair to the clientele, seeing to it that you put in hard work, dogged work in order to pick up good products, deliver them, see to it that you get the clients and customers to give a return on it, and then ultimately pass it on to the persons who has invested through you.
We always talk about, like, whoever, like, investors are, retail investors, our mantra is, diversify your portfolio. There is a very cool stat that Knight Frank Wealth Report of 2024 came in with, saying that the top UHNIs and HNIs of India invest 53% of their investment portfolio into residential real estate. So this just kind of shows that how real estate till now was very restricted to high net worth individuals. And with fractional ownership and with all these new categories that are coming in, even retail investors can have a part of real estate in their investment portfolio.
India is growing at 6.2. Real estate last year grew at 7% in terms of the overall growth story. But in reality, it grew 12 to 14%. So if you see today and maybe in the next year too, real estate is going to grow another 12, 15% this year too. Now, if you have an investment portfolio and if you don't peg a part of it onto real estate, then you're going to lose that benefit which is coming. Number two, there are a huge amount of tax benefits. Like, for instance, when you invest into a house, you borrow monies, the interest is tax deductible. You're able to get home loans at a much cheaper rate than other loans that you can possibly get for investment. All that and more happening itself indicates that the opportunities of investment are varied. So you can, you cannot do, you can do and should do. So my reading is that you should do investments into real estate, especially because the opportunities are good and there are opportunities which are going to grow because GDP in India is growing. So there is no way that real estate will not grow. How much will each location grow will be different. And that only time will tell. And, if you're fortunate enough, you'll make huge amount of killing, which many people have in the real estate investment space.
Would you mind just help us explain to that person what fractional real estate ownership is, and then probably also talk a little bit about what do you think is the potential of fractional ownership in residential real estate?
From the very word, a fraction of the owner. So in reality, what you would normally do is buy an entire apartment or an entire building or entire property which is residential. That is the ownership by the whole. When you give a part of it, and it can be a small part of it or a big part of it, it can be 1%, it can be 10%, 5%, 20%, that's fractional ownership. So it's a part ownership. Normally, if you have adequate amount of money and are willing to go through the hang-ups of choosing apartments, buying it, studying the legal part of that property, paying the stamp duty, going for the registration, it's a humongous process. But when you want to just buy a fractional ownership of it, it's a simple agreement process that you need to do with a person like Claravest, and they will handle all the rest of the problem for you, which is buying the property, renting out the property, and ultimately maybe reselling the property and handing over the profits and proceedings from those to you in a more tax efficient way as is possible. So I think that is fractional ownership of residential housing as put in a nutshell. Processes and all that I think are different in the case of different properties because it depends on what is the type of property, size of property, etc. And the opportunities also will change depending on how the neighborhood is structured for the purposes of rental. So in many areas like Oregon, you have a large number of industries. So a lot of people who are wanting rental apartments. In certain places where you're before educational areas, you will get a lot of people for the purposes of kind of hotel, but are willing to rent it out. But the fractional ownership remains same, a fraction of the ownership. So I think that's how I would best describe what a fractional ownership is and the opportunities of investments into this sector.
One of the things of importance of fractional real estate ownership in residential space is the capital appreciation. I know we spoke about tier 2 cities, we spoke about different categories, and I guess the story here is that if you are investing in a good tier 2 city, high growth tier 2 city, and in a good category of residential, people can earn rental yield plus the obviously main perk or the hero of the investment is the property appreciation.
Sure.
So definitely.
Yeah, we are all for profits. So whether it's a rental yield or ultimately capital appreciation, but in reality, fractional ownership is about a combination of both. So it's the yield that you get in terms of rental, net rental that comes to you, and also the fact that you get capital appreciation maybe when you plan to sell it off or commit to sell it off after 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, depends on what the arrangements are with the persons who are managing it.
I think that's one of the best descriptions of fractional ownership, probably in the most simplest format. So thanks for that. Very insightful. So you have been a leader in sustainability before it even became like a term, right? You've created water harvesting plants out here, like probably 30 years back, right? And today there is a whole new buzz around AQI levels and how alarming they are and the impact that it has on us. So do you foresee, I mean, what are the concerns that you see from these AQI levels, and do you see them impacting the demand of real estate and their pricing as well?
Unfortunately, AQI levels have been growing in various cities, but prices have also been going up. So in reality, I don't see any correlation with that. But I'm concerned. Obviously, we don't want bad AQIs. We don't want bad environment. We want sustainability. We are trying to do that in our projects. But we also need to take care at the macro level that air quality should be good and that should be there. I think it's flagged off by the Prime Minister. It's flagged off by many people. People at the grassroots are also looking at it. Developers are concerned about it. We take care of a large part of it. But at the end of the day, nothing succeeds like success. And we are not successful. That is the challenge. So we have to work harder, both as individuals, segregating waste, recycling water, using it carefully, making energy efficient buildings, at the industry level, making sustainable projects, green buildings, and so on and so forth in the private sector. Government needs to take care of it in a holistic way, at the city level, at the state level, at the country level, and the world. So I think all that is extremely important.
Yeah, I think that's a very clear message that you sent. It's not one person's job, it's an entire army, and it's everyone's responsibility.
So you have been an inspiration to a lot of entrepreneurs, be it real estate sector or outside real estate sector. If there is a young entrepreneur who wants to start his or her startup or a company in the real estate sector, what is one of those things which excites you and which you think has a great potential in the next 10 to 15 years coming in?
Just go for it. You had this idea of fractional ownership, you went for it. You can get an idea of so many things that can be done in terms of it. AI, for instance, is so important. Data in terms of it. Social media is a part of it. Lots of other things, and things can be improved. You can create prefabricated houses. You can work on sites where you have better green buildings. You can have more environmental successes. So many things can be done. Construction methodologies can change. Investment opportunities are growing. Marketing methodologies are changing. Hundreds of changes and improvements are going to take place. So it's all about change in terms of it, improvement and getting quality, getting better things to be done. I'm pretty excited for the future, actually, more than the past. So whatever you may have seen that I've done, I'm looking forward to much more better in the future.
Fantastic. So we are almost at the tail end of the podcast. We thought that we would end this with a little bit fun rapid fire round. So are you ready, sir?
Okay.
What's the first thing you do when you start your day?
Gymming and exercise, yoga.
Wow. If not real estate, what career path would you have chosen?
I think I would be a teacher.
Oh, wow. What is one myth about you that you wish to decode?
People only know me as a real estate person, but I'm into education, I'm into health, I'm into community service, skill development. And I think people just think, oh, he's just makes buildings, you know.
We definitely know you do a lot more, sir. We just recently saw your video of doing push-ups with Milind Soman, and I was blown away. I was like, wow, even I can't do those push-ups. And the last question, sir, if you had one extra hour every day, how would you use it? And you're not allowed to use it for work.
I think reading. I'm doing much less of it than I want to. So I think if I had that one extra hour, maybe I would do reading.
Just want to say again, thank you so much, sir, for your time. We learned a lot. You have given us a fantastic opportunity. People are also trusting our platform. So thank you so much for your support.
I wish you all the best and
Thank
great
you.
successes to both of you.
Thank you.
And
Thank
do
you,
very,
sir.
very, very well.
Thank you. Thank you so much,
so
sir.
much.